Welcome back. Now, the City of Cape Town has announced the first steps to take over the Metro Rail's network. National Treasury has given Cape Town the go-ahead for a feasibility study. eNCA's Monique Mortlock has more for us. She attended that press briefing with the mayor there. Monique, just explain to us, this is obviously a step in the right direction, I assume, especially because the railroads in the City of Cape Town have been problematic in terms of safety, etc. How is the mayor saying they're going to, what are these first steps that they've taken?
This has been coming on for a number of years. I remember back in, I think it was 2015 or 2016, when former DA Ward Councillor Brett Hedden spoke about the city's ambitious plan to take over the rail function here in Cape Town and to create an integrated transport system where citizens will be able to use one card and use it to take the train or to be on the bus service. Thankfully, I see the mayor has just been allowed to leave the chambers. Thank you so much, Mayor. I was just giving a bit of an update as to the big announcement that you made today. I'm going to let you explain. What exactly does this feasibility study mean? Because I know that the city has been trying for a number of years to get to this point.
Yes, thank you very much. Pleasure to be with you. It is a crucial first step. It is a first step on the process towards devolving, moving the rail function and responsibility away from national government, which it has been basically just by tradition in South Africa ever since apartheid days, to a lower sphere of government, either the province or ideally inside the metro into the city government. And we just know that the passenger rail service in South Africa is just in a state of near total collapse. And it's going to have to be rebuilt slowly, and it's going to have to involve private sector investment and private sector management. And that is absolutely the way of the future. So we have been trying for a while to get going with this, and it's been blocked at various passes, but I'm determined to push the envelope because it has to be done. It has to be done. There's no way that we can continue with the status quo. And so this is a really important first step. We're starting with the feasibility. I don't think it needs to take too long. And once we've got that, we can press ahead.
And in terms of costs involved, how much is this study going to cost, and will it be on the taxpayers' shoulders? I believe that you said you're hoping to get it started on the 1st of July. And how long do you suspect it could take?
Absolutely. Everything the city does is paid for by the residents of Cape Town. It's all public money. The cost is quite expensive. I don't have an exact number, but it's millions of rands that it's costing. And it needs to be proper and thorough and detailed and set out how a local government-run train service and local government-managed train service with private investment, of course, how that could work. And that's never been done before in South Africa, of course. As I said, by tradition, this has always just been run by, it used to be Spoornet, now it's Transnet and Metro Rail and so on. So this is important, groundbreaking work for the country. It's not just relevant to Cape Town. I think that if we can get this right in the months and years ahead, then every city is going to start climbing on the train, excuse the pun. And the last question was about the length of time it's going to take. I hope that we can get it done. We've given them a year. They've got a full year to do it, but I hope that it can be done sooner. For me, it is extremely important work, but train systems are run all over the world efficiently, on time, financially viably. So it's not like this is rocket science. I believe this can be done. I know it can be done. I believe it must be done, and I think it can be done quickly.
Once the study has been concluded, what then? And as a taxpayer, I have to ask, there's no guarantee that the city will be taking over the rail network, that this will be a success. It might be millions wasted at the end of the day. So what would you say to taxpayers who might be thinking, okay, after the study, what then?
So I would say to you as a ratepayer, what is the alternative? The alternative is that we just throw up our hands and say, oh, well, the train system doesn't work. Tough luck. I'm not prepared to do that. I'm prepared to do what it takes to build an alternative. And the alternative is that we run it and make it work properly, get private sector investment, get private sector management, and let the trains actually deliver the service they were intended and designed to deliver, getting people to work, connecting people economically and socially. So I think that is an absolutely sound investment, and one well worth it, not just for the city, but as I said, for the country. Because the current model of central management, central ownership, is not working and cannot work. The state has already said they do not have the money to fix the train system. The deterioration in infrastructure is now so bad that many parts of the country's rail network are a write-off. So I would say that is an alternative we should not even consider. It is unacceptable, and it certainly is unacceptable to me. So let's go for it. Let's get it done.
Final question, because I have to ask, in the chamber ahead of your speech, we had some protesters there. We spoke to the protesters. They said that they wanted an engagement with you to speak about the city's scrapping of bylaws that they deem anti-poor, like the illegal occupation of land, for example. You said you're not against protesters. Last week, same thing, or not last week, 2 weeks ago at the affordability housing in Daba, you allowed the peaceful protest to take place inside while it was going on. What would you say to these protesters, and especially those like the Joe Slovo residents who are wanting to rebuild, wanting to know what's the city's plan to help them?
Yeah. So I absolutely have no objection to peaceful protest. Peaceful protest is an essential part of a democratic order in a constitutional democracy. Everyone has the right to do it, as long as it is not violent or disruptive. And unfortunately, theirs was not violent, but it was disruptive. And so it was difficult to actually even understand what they were protesting about, beyond just a few signs that they were holding up. Of course, they can write to me and ask for an engagement in a more, kind of collegial, mature, discussant way. I suspect that that's not really their intention. Their intention is to make a point, and so of course they're free to do that in a democracy. They're free to make a point if they want to. However, I would say, if it is true what you've said to me, as I said, I've never spoken to them, but you've just told me now what they're protesting about, that they are protesting against the illegal occupations bylaw, I would strongly disagree with them. I would say that the only thing that is absolutely against the interests of the poor is when you take a piece of land that does not belong to you. That means that you are leapfrogging someone who has been waiting sometimes decades for access to opportunity, to a housing opportunity, to that piece of land. And the person who is paying for that is not the taxpayer, it's not you and me. The person who is paying for that is the very, very poor person who is next on the list, who doesn't get that opportunity. I think that is fundamentally unfair and unjust and anti-poor. And if that's what they want to talk about, I'm happy to have an engagement, but I will say up front that I strongly disagree.
And just quickly, Mayor, where are we with the Joe Slovo rebuilding project? I believe that there were some issues when it came to the emergency funding, the release of the emergency funding, due to some discrepancies between how many families were affected.
Well, there's a kind of rule of thumb in South Africa that emergency funding is only available when it affects more than 1,000 people. That is frankly an arbitrary rule of thumb. It's not in law or anything like it. It's just been the applied practice that you cannot apply for emergency relief unless there's a very significant number of people that are affected, and that's usually 1,000. But we've made application for emergency funding, even though it's only 300 affected in this case. And my sense is that they will get the support that they need. In any case, the report from our disaster management teams, the huge majority of people have already rebuilt and are back, and the electrification teams are going back in to reconnect and so on. So I think that is by and large handled, but of course there's a whole separate project that I'm working on trying to make more fire relief funding and donations and building materials available for the victims of shack fires. Because that is a huge problem that we deal with every winter in Cape Town, and of course across South Africa. It's not unique, and we would like to be able to do more for those residents. We have to do more in a financially sustainable way, of course, and that's what we're working on.
Thank you very much. That was Cape Town Mayor Geordin Hill-Lewis just chatting us about various issues, especially that big announcement that the City of Cape Town has been given the green light to conduct its feasibility study into taking over the rail network here in Cape Town.
All right, Monique Mortlock in Cape Town. Let's leave it there for now. Right now,